Welcome to Deep Dive. I'm your host, Kevin Benedict, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm really excited for today's interview. I want to introduce Nik, and I'm going to do my best with your name, Koutsoukos.
That was perfect, Kevin. That was
Ah,
excellent.
man, you can't believe how much I had to practice that with Nik's help before we recorded this. So he's the vice president of marketing for a really cool company called Catchpoint. So Nik, again, thanks for joining us. Where are you calling in from today?
Hey, Kevin, I'm calling from New York City, sunny New York City. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to our chat this morning.
Wonderful. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. As you mentioned, I head up marketing for Catchpoint. I've been here for just 4 months or so. It's a new gig for me. It's been a fantastic 3 4 months. I've lived in the East Coast. I'm somewhere between Boston and New York City most of the time. I've lived in the East Coast of the United States for the last 14 years, and before that, I was in the UK, and I moved there around 2005.
So, Nik, you have a very interesting journey here. When I was looking at LinkedIn and through your career, you start as a network engineer doing, all the technical stuff on hardware and things like that. And here you are now as vice president of product marketing at Catchpoint. Talk to us about that journey.
Yeah, that's right. I'm an engineer by trade, like a lot of people in our industry, and I'm a practical person and curious person, personality-wise. And I thought, early on in when I was at school that I wanted to be in engineering. So I chose that path. But engineering was, when I started working in companies, was fairly kind of restrictive to development, and I kind of wanted to try different things. So I ended up in technical marketing and in product management. I spent a lot of time in product management, and then the natural progression from product management to marketing was easy for me. So it's still a technical role, but it's all about communicating ideas, communicating to customers, to salespeople. Really, in essence, what I do on a daily basis is communicate initiatives, communicate ideas, concepts, to help our customers really understand what is it that we do and how we can help them.
Well, having been in the technology industry for the past 30 some years here, I've seen a big change in marketing. So I can see today how an engineering degree would be so much more valuable. Just the technology, the understanding of data, the statistics, and the
Right.
analytics, all that kind of stuff is critical to marketing today. So I can
Yeah,
see that path.
that's right, especially in the B2B space, right? If you look at our customers, our buyers, the users of our technology, these are engineers themselves, right? They're solving technical problems that need technical solutions. So you have to be able to speak the language. You have to be able to communicate and have the credibility with them, um, to convince them that you have a better solution than another competitor or another vendor. Technical background in our space, especially in internet-based businesses, B2B, is pretty important. Now, you don't have to have an engineering degree and an engineering master's or a PhD, but being able to understand technology concepts and being able to understand what your customers and buyers are looking for, it's going to be very important in order to communicate with them.
Oh, I can see that absolutely. So, Nik, what does an average day look like for you?
That's a great question, Kevin. There's two parts to my job. First, I have a team that I have to manage. I have a marketing organization that they range from product marketing to demand gen to brand. The team needs to understand what the priorities are, where we need to focus, what the plan is for next year, whether the work that they produce is hitting the mark. So that's one part of my job. The other part of my job is to be part of the executive team here at Catchpoint and really make sure that we have the right strategy, the right go-to-market strategy, the right product strategy, the right marketing strategy. So I kind of go between the two, and I spend a lot of time in meetings. I spend a lot of time communicating with people, and as I mentioned earlier, it's all about being able to communicate well in marketing. You have to communicate to your boss, you have to communicate to the board. It's that you have a good handle on what you do. A lot of meetings, and then I tend to try and block out certain slots in the day to try and do some work. Whether that's preparing for a customer meeting, whether that's preparing for an analyst conversation, speaking to the press, speaking to you. I try to block times in my calendar. Otherwise, everybody wants to meet with you, and you run out of time during the week.
Oh yeah,
So
that
it's
is so interesting,
yeah,
Nick, because I was reading a whole series of books because as a technology analyst, I was writing a lot of reports and I was really interested in what time of the day is best to reserve for creative thinking, such as writing anything, writing an article, writing a report. And a lot of authors are saying, between 5 a.m. and 11 a.m. is the only time they can really be productive writing. And then
yeah.
after that, they schedule all their meetings. The ones with discipline, not myself, but the ones with a lot of discipline, just block it in the morning. And then in the afternoon, they do all their communication kinds of stuff with people face to face, just to preserve that creative time.
It's interesting. I would agree with that. I often wake up in the morning with an idea
Hmm.
or a potential solution to a problem that I've been thinking about the previous night. And
Yes.
it's not intentional, right? It strikes me in the morning and I wake up. I guess the brain has an opportunity to reclassify, delete some data and then just find the solution while you're asleep. And I agree that you need to capture that idea and you need to put it in paper and expand on it. So I would agree that morning tends to be quiet, and it's a good opportunity to be creative. Late in the day, your brain is tired. Kids come back from school.
Yeah.
You have to make dinner. You have to go and do some exercise. It's pretty difficult to find time in the evening. I
Yeah.
also find sometimes at the weekend when you're more relaxed to just kind of sit back and have a cup of coffee and just do some creative work, write a presentation, write a blog, and just have fun with it, right? So without having to worry about a delivery date or a meeting that's
Yes.
coming up and you're running out of time. So I would agree with that.
Oh, I love, I
100%.
love, I love hearing the behind the scenes disciplines and practices of leaders. So thank you for sharing that. So tell
Sure.
us about Catchpoint. What do you guys do?
Yeah, Catchpoint is very simple to explain it. We have a what we call a digital experience monitoring platform, and there are three things that we deliver to customers. We help them with managing the experience of the customers, the digital experience of the customers. We also help them to manage the digital experience of their employees. And then the digital services, the websites, their applications, the services that are delivered to their users, customers, or employees, we're making sure that they are performing reliably. We're making sure that can be reached and are available, and they're high performing. And so we making sure that the triangle between customers, employees, and digital services is cohesive, and they deliver an excellent experience to the customers and employees. It's all about gaining visibility into the chain that's involved in delivering that service to customers and employees. If you think about what has happened over the last 20 years, the digital consumer and the digital professional, their behavior, their requirements have completely collapsed. I can be at home, and most of the times when I'm in Boston, I work from home. I use a browser to access an application for work. Email is in the cloud, and I use standard Ethernet to connect to my email. At the same time, I can open another browser and shop at Amazon. There's no difference between my professional behavior as a digital user and my consumer behavior. So what's interesting right now is that if you look at applications and services that companies deliver to customers and employees, they're all over the internet. Internet's not a monolithic thing. It's a complex collection of pipes and services and third-party solutions. And knowing what can go wrong in that complex chain is very difficult. And this is where Catchpoint comes along. We shed light into that very complex thing called the internet, and we take a very sort of user-centric approach to experience, and we help customers figure out what's going wrong, and also proactively solve problems in that chain, remove bottlenecks before it really impacts the customers and employees.
So,
Yeah.
So Nick, I've got a question for you. I've been around for 30 plus years in technology, but it seems like just in the last few years is everybody preaching digital, better digital experiences, user experiences, etc. My question to you is why now, Nick?
Yeah, great question, Kevin. Well, the economy is shifting to digital. We live in a digital economy, and there are plenty of statistics out there from analysts to tell you that more than 50% of global GDP by next year will be digitized, meaning that there's so much business done over the internet, there's so much business done digitally. It's me buying services. It's me shopping as a consumer. It's me booking travel. It's me as a consumer or as a business person um, uh, making sure that my shipment goes from Singapore to London. Uh, a ton of our GDP, a ton of our business is going to be done over digital. And right now, digital experiences are very important from a consumer
Oh
perspective
yeah.
on the B2C space as well as B2B. So um, if your customers and employees, if your customers are not happy, if they're not really receiving the service that you want them to, and if your employees are not productive, that can have a pretty catastrophic impact on your business. So that's why businesses realize that understanding what customers are experiencing and whether they're getting the service that you want them to get, super critical. Tracking that experience on a regular basis and being able to identify pretty much all the time how it's performing is going to become increasingly critical for the businesses.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can see that in just about every aspect of business, there are massive volumes of data available to all of us. And the big question, it seems like today, is not where do I get more data, but what do I do with the data? So
That's
let's ask this question. So you can monitor all these user experiences, you can gather all this feedback, but how does that actually translate into action that improves an experience?
You're right, Kevin. There's no lack of data. Enterprises have lots of tools to collect data now, more than they need, in fact. We over collect, and the problem now is what insights can I gain from this data? What answers can I derive to from that data to solve problems that I have? Look, it's pretty straightforward. People looking for answers. What's in it for me? What does this data mean for my business? Can I improve the customer journey? Can I make sure that my website is performing faster? That I don't somehow disappoint customers. It's very easy nowadays with the user expectations being so high to lose a customer in milliseconds. It doesn't take a lot to lose a customer for life, right? One or two bad experiences on the website or an e-commerce site, you lost them for life. There's so much choice, it doesn't take a lot to lose them. So it's very important to understand how you're going to optimize that journey, how you're going to optimize the customer experience. But it's all about getting the data to tell you how you're going to do that. That's a problem for the industry. That's why you start seeing a lot around AI ops,
Yeah.
artificial intelligence and machine learning and things like that, which is attempting to look at that plethora of data and trying to get down to answers, actionable data that you can do something about. The other aspect of it, which is more reactive, is about being able to solve problems when they happen. If you have a problem with something, how quickly can you troubleshoot? How quickly can you get to the root cause so you can just eliminate it before it becomes a big problem? So it's proactively, what does the data tell me that I can act upon it and improve the customer experience, the employee experience, and then more reactively, when the problem happens, how quickly can I identify it? The root cause.
Oh, very good. So I'm going to ask you to put on your marketing hat again
Sure, sure.
and just think about marketing strategy here.
hmm
Um, how have you seen it actually evolve over the past 5 or 10 years? Were the strategies you were using a decade ago, are you still using the same ones or have things changed enormously?
Yeah, there has been a transition, I would say, over the last decade in marketing in general. It's more about less about push It's more about being able to be with information in front of the customers in places that they're researching, right?
Hmm.
There's plenty of statistics on this topic to tell you that 50, 60, 70% of the purchasing decision is done by users or is done by clients before they even talk to the vendor. We
Ah,
have so much data in front of us. We have so many resources that allow us to compare vendor A with vendor B, and pretty much make a decision about, the kind of the short list of solutions I'm going to look at way before I speak to a salesperson. So the key for marketing is to have that information in places that research, be in the right place at the right time, and not push the information. Make sure that the customer sees it, and hopefully that sort of helps you, helps the customer kind of come your way. Look, email marketing. How many emails do you get a day from vendors or people are trying to sell you stuff? What do you do with those emails? Do you look at them or you delete them? Everybody deletes them.
yeah.
Spam. So, that's really not the way. The way is to offer a solution to a problem that they have. You recognize the problem and kind of be there with the answer when they're looking for it.
Ah, so interesting. So how have, so you talked a little bit about this. How have buyer journeys changed? You said so 50% or more of the buyer's journey they take care of in a self-serve environment. They've been able to go to YouTube, they've been able to go onto an analyst report or anything else online, read about it. So they have a lot of information. How else have you seen that the buyer's journey or life cycle change over that same period of time?
So yeah, I think customers can make decisions since they are more informed and have access to more information. And you don't see that kind of front end, right? When they come to you, um, you can move pretty quickly to the end of the sales cycle, right? In the old days, if you like, the sales cycle started from the time when they spoke to a salesperson, and there was a lot of exchange of information. It was proof of concepts that had to happen. You help the customer to even understand what problem they had. Then you get to the solution. Then they had to test it, and then eventually they buy it. That front end doesn't need to happen anymore. It doesn't happen as often as it used to. They come to you knowing very much what problem they have and what solution they're looking for. So you can have a relatively very short sales cycles. You just have to be ready. You have to be
Yes.
ready with the solution, and you have to be ready to help them go from I know what I'm looking for, let's help me implement it very quickly. So it's more about that sort of last part of the sales cycle.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking to optimize as a company now. It's about that experience, making sure that you provide them with answers because they already know what the question is.
Yeah, and I imagine the sales cycle doesn't just change, I mean, doesn't just end when they do their first purchase, because you may have them for many years and they might be on annual subscription, so you're needing to stay in tune with them all the way along, aren't you?
That's right. The old 10 years ago, it was all about selling to the customer, and it was about supporting them. Support was the post-sales function that
Yeah,
would deal with the customer. Now you have the emergence of customer success.
yeah,
Not just about support, it's about how do you make the customer successful. There's plenty of data out there, and I've seen it in real life with my own experience that after you engage and land the deal and you sell something to a customer, the most important thing for you to make sure that you keep the customer happy and you're successful with this account or with this client is to make them successful with your solution. And that requires you to engage with more people in the organization. Make sure you evangelize the goodness of your solution. And at the end of the day, making sure that the customer is successful. If the
yeah,
customer is successful with you, you're going to be successful with the customer. So that's why it's a different approach to supporting the customer post sales. It's about the success, and it's about the expansion, and it's about understanding how the organization is going to benefit, as opposed to simply picking up the phone when they have a problem in support and answer the question that they have or fixing a bug. That's the old school. Now it's about how can I help you going forward?
Absolutely, Nick. And thanks for sharing your experiences there. One more time, let me ask you to put on your futurist hat.
Yeah.
Where do you see user experience? How do you see it evolving over the next 5 years?
Yeah, and if you recall earlier what I mentioned, the trend that I'm seeing that's going to continue is that there will be, from a vendor perspective, from a technology perspective, what we're interested in is understanding how customers are behaving, how consumers are behaving, how our employees are behaving, and I see the behavior collapsing, meaning that there will be no difference into how an employee is behaving and how a consumer is behaving. Based
Right.
on the example I gave you earlier, look, employees and consumers are mobile. They connect to your services digitally from anywhere. And they could be at an airport, they could be at the park, they could be in a business, an office, they could be at a Starbucks. So and so the mobility aspect of it is common between consumers and employees. Most of, if not all of their services going forward are going to be hosted somewhere in the public cloud, and they're going to be delivered to customers and employees via the internet. That trend is going to continue and it's unstoppable. And so for us is being able to help our clients really deliver that service by giving them the visibility that they need to uncover.
Very good. Nick, I know we locked up there at the very last word, but this is
Or do you want to?
brilliant. All right. Thank you,
All
Nick.
right. Thanks, Kevin. Bye bye
Yeah.
now. Take
Bye-bye.
care.